back to Concord Authors Part 2. So for the rest of this afternoon, we're going to show you what we couldn't fit in the first video, which is the Louisa May Alcott house.
Right. The Wayside House of Authors.
Right, which was owned by the Alcotts and Nathaniel Hawthorne. I don't know why he is so hard for me.
We also went to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, where all 4 authors were buried.
Back in one of the oldest sections of the cemetery, up on what's called Author Ridge, way in the back, all 4 of them. Aha! I remembered you this time, Nathaniel. All 4 of them are along the ridge. And so we'll wrap this up, take a look at the rest of the birthplace of American literature. Come on, it's going to be fun.
Yay!
Part 2, Stop 1, will be the Wayside Home of Authors. Here we are behind the Wayside Home of Authors. We're behind the building again instead of out front for a great view because it's right on the road and the road noise would make it impossible for you to hear us. So, here we are. But there'll be some other footage of going around the house.
Right, and the Wayside actually was owned by 4 people. Only 3 of them were authors. The first family that owned it was the Whitneys. And then after that, it was the Alcotts.
Louisa May Alcott's family, who later moved literally almost right next door. It's like 200 yards that way.
Yeah.
But this is where they were first.
When the children were little.
Right. It was also part of the Underground Railroad. It's believed that here in this house is where Louisa May Alcott had the exposure to the runaway railroad and helping a slave make it to freedom that influenced some of her writing later in Little Women. But it was also owned by Nathaniel Hawthorne and the Lothrops. And what was her first name? Susan Lothrop?
I do not remember the Lothrops.
Mrs. Lothrop was also an author of children's novels. So it's Wayside Home of Authors.
Right, and Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote A House of Seven Gables and Scarlet Letter.
Right. Unfortunately, the Wayside's also closed due to COVID, but we did learn recently in our research that we wouldn't have been able to film the inside for you anyway, because the museums of the homes of the authors don't allow photography or video. You got to come see it for yourself or watch their virtual tour in order to experience it.
Right. The Alcott sheltered 2 runaway slaves while they lived here, making the Wayside part of the National Underground Railroad network. Next, we're headed over to the Orchard House, home of Louisa May Alcott.
So here we are at the Louisa May Alcott, is that how I say her name?
Louisa May Alcott.
Louisa May Alcott house, where the Alcott family lived in the mid-1800s. Louisa May Alcott was one of the daughters of the family. She wrote Little Women while she lived here. Well, that's actually not the house is over there. But while she lived here, she also set Little Women here as well and based characters off of her family. But directly behind us is like an old church revival style building that Louisa May Alcott's father, partnering with Ralph Waldo Emerson, created the Concord School of Philosophy back there. And it was the first successful adult education center in Massachusetts, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
But it's really cool. Normally it's open for tours. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it's not.
But they do have virtual tours online right now where you can actually go online and see everything that they have going on inside.
Because the house itself, which is down the hill, we came up here because it's right by the road and there was too much road noise, you wouldn't have been able to hear us. But at the main house, which you can see in our walk around, they have it set up as a museum like it would be in the time when Louisa May Alcott lived here. So really cool. We wish we could go in. It's still really awesome to see one of the three greats. Well, actually, I think there's four, because Hawthorne was here too.
Greats, yeah.
Of great American literature people, writers, literary writers. Whoa, that was complicated. But yeah, a bunch of them here at the same time, talking, hanging out. I've babbled enough. How about you?
I am trying to figure. I'm sitting here thinking, how am I going to edit all that?
Just leave it in. Let me babble. It'll be fun. Taking us back to up to the back of that barn structure that looked like it had a bunch of chairs in the window, like it might be a meeting house. In the back part of the property.
Didn't see the bunch of chairs.
I just saw people like chair back after chair back after chair back after meeting house. Could be wrong. I don't know what that one is. It's that second building with the steeple front.
We'll find out. It's got a kitty cat.
The Concord School of Philosophy. That's what that building is.
So that's what it supposedly looked like
So this
back
is
in the day.
literally school.
The Concord School of Philosophy was co-founded by Bronson Alcott and Ralph Waldo Emerson. It was called the Hillside Chapel and was open for 8 years, closing when Bronson Alcott passed. It was reopened in 1975 and is currently in use for the Orchard House's Summer Conversational Series.
Our last stop on our tour of the Concord authors will be Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. So now we're in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in Concord, which is where the famous authors are also buried. I believe Thoreau, Emerson, and Alcott are all here on what they call Authors Ridge, which is this big hill up here in front of us. We just realized, because Trish took the time to finish looking up how to find them, so we needed to actually pay attention to where we were going. And they actually have headstone direction markers saying this is one way and it's how you get to the grave of Daniel Chester French. One headstone direction sign over, we've got Authors Ridge, graves of Thoreau, Hawthorne, Alcott, and Emerson. And that's where we're going to go next. Apparently there is a 3-car parking space up there based on what Trish just looked up online. So we're going to get back in the car and drive around the cemetery. So the parking area, if you go the right way, you'll come to a spot where it ends right there in a little guardrailed off parking spot. And then the pathway up with a sign that tells you that you're going the right way is right here, where Trish is.
Sign.
To the Authors Ridge graves. So basically, plan better, look things up before you get there. Something.
That's a lesson you keep trying to teach.
But wandering an old cemetery just wandering it is kind of part of the adventure, but we are on a little bit of a timetable. Here's the Thoreau family.
There we go.
There's Henry over there. That's super cool. So they have one large stone that lists everybody. Let me get in a little closer so that the light change thing kicks in so y'all can read it. And that just lists everybody in the family and the times that they died. And then as you look around the stone, they have small headstones.
From the actual time period.
From the actual time period, yes. That say mother, father, John Muir, Helen in the back there, Sophia, and then Henry David Thoreau, one of the most famous figures of American literature history. Only has that small little marker with his name on it. But you can see that authors apparently come here and leave their offerings to the writing gods and pens, pencils, drawings.
Items of nature.
And items of nature, yes. Because he was really into that too. Pine cones, rocks, sticks. That's what he was all about. All right, Thoreau down. Back on the move. This is Hawthorne right here, yeah? Hawthorne family. Alright, this is chained off, so I can't get close enough for you to really see them, but this is where Hawthorne is buried. It says, yeah, there's the one. I can zoom in on it. Here are the people who have hopped the chains. Again, offerings left on his headstone. So there you go. 2 down.
Right.
And as a writer in particular, I find the American literary figures inspiring. And I have read some of it. I'm going to be honest, I have not read as much early American literature as I probably should have as a word nerd. But after this trip, I might be inspired to fix that. The Alcott family is all right here. A lot of their stones are weathered, so they're hard to read. So I'm not even going to try to make you suffer through me trying to figure it out. I'm just going to pan across them. They've got the one large central family marker, which I didn't start with, except in the main shot. But then Louisa May Alcott is right here. Again, surrounded by the tools of her craft, pens, pencils.
Somebody wrote her something.
An actual essay or something that somebody has written.
Maybe.
So, really cool tribute. I haven't actually read Little Women, but I'm going to have to. And there's the family marker in the center. So that's 3 down, 1 to go. We've got to find Emerson. We're on the right track to the last one. Where's Waldo? Dun dun dun.
You're so funny. They had the house, the author's house, the Lothrop family.
Yes, they owned the Wayside, right? Which is what Emerson named it in a letter that he wrote. I learned that. And here's the Emersons. Ralph Waldo is the large marble monument in the center.
And then,
with his wife Lydian to his left.
and his daughter Ellen to the right.
Daughter Ellen to the right. There we go, we found all 4 of them. Great American literary writers, literature writers.
And the
buried right here in
Lothrop
Concord.
And the Lothrop family.
And the Lothrop family. They all lived right here in Concord at the same time and knew each other. It's wicked, wicked cool. Well, thanks for coming with us for the Concord Authors up here in Massachusetts. We had a great time. We hope you did too. One of my favorite parts was the shrines that people are building around the different headstones in the cemetery that we were just in. I know I mentioned it then too, but it was super cool. If you're enjoying Ain't Life a Trip, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button and also subscribe.
Hit that bell so you always get your notifications when we post a new episode.
Right, that way you never miss anything.
You can also check out Bones on Instagram
Right.
at Bones the Sound Guy.
He's usually up to some kind of crazy antics. We had a great time today. We hope you did too. Until next time,
Yeah.
see you later.